Let's talk about Marc Maron. That man been going around ruffling feathers these last few months. Honestly, this wasn't even supposed to be my first video, but word to Tupac. Every other video, no matter where I go, it's Maron on these shows. The man is regarded as one of the pioneers for what is now the modern day podcast. Yup, Joe Rogan and the Little Homies, those are all his fault. Allegedly, he does tell a joke every once in a while, and he's been doing that for about 30-something years, but his reputation, it's always having problems with other comedians, in the case usually being when the comedian becomes more successful than he does. During his recent round of the podcast circuit promoting his latest HBO special, I saw a lot of people giving him praise for speaking up against the politically incorrect comedians. The other half, they didn't really like it, saying he was a radical liberal, jealous of comedians more successful than him. The division, both in the comments and in the comedy world, sparked my interest, so I had to dig a little bit deeper.
That's what she said.
So currently, you may have heard he's been going around giving the work to anyone in the Rogan sphere down in Austin, talking about comics that take advantage of the algorithm for clicks. Yeah. And as he so tased from podcast to podcast with this sense of moral superiority and a know-it-all attitude, I noticed a rather suspicious strategy to his actions. He goes around preaching about annoying liberals pushing others into fascism.
You know, the notion that these smaller causes that people get, consumed with and then have, fights with other people about it within the progressive spectrum.
Almost oblivious to what he's been doing this entire time. Went around taking shots regarding the landscape and stand-up, mostly about anti-woke comedians.
Like, they're using woke to destroy democracy.
Right.
Anti-woke.
The anti-woke bunch, they used anti-woke.
Umbrella of anti-woke.
There's just going to be, 90 people on Twitter going like, I hate this woke
And one of the comics that he brought up was Dave Chappelle. For someone who claims to be such a diehard progressive, it was not surprising that he didn't catch the irony of using a word originated for black empowerment in the 30s against a black man.
I guess even though we were free, we were still slaves in the mind.
Message!
Apart from deeming his act anti-woke, he called Netflix fascist for backing Chappelle over the trans employees that walked out during their protest. And all of this would have been fine. I mean, Maron is entitled to speak his mind. But as someone who just doesn't trust celebrities, I knew this was only the tip of the iceberg. And like a woman's story after a girl's night out, things weren't adding up. Netflix already had 2 specials uploaded from a comedian using the same type of jokes. We get the 2-for-1 combo from Dave. A third comic uploads a special and it has a joke in there similar to that. And guess what? Not a peep from Mark. Nope. Those were perfectly fine. No need to worry about that. I won't even mention all the specials from comedians with allegations against them since, words. Those are way worse than whatever that is. Guess he just forgot about fascism. It just slipped his mind when 2 out of his 3 Netflix specials were released after Dave was already on there. I guess that memory loss would also explain why Maron's initial comments in 2021 about these insensitive jokes, he casually forgot to mention Netflix at all. I'm sure that was all short-term amnesia and not a reflection of moral character, of not our trusty protector of marginalized groups.
Talk about Dave Chappelle. I have not seen the last special or the last 3 specials. From what I gleaned, he decided it was, just high time. There was an urgency to discussing the trans community because I guess they've just had it so easy for too long, apparently. That there were some really important things that needed to be talked about by a straight man with a lot of money who's getting older and more conservative. And I think probably a little more boring. Am I getting it right?
I mean, after all, he stopped working with Netflix and his new special was on a different platform. We don't have to worry about no transfer. Wait, hold up. Is that Bill Maher? Funny, you conveniently forgot to mention his own slew of anti-trans rhetoric that he pushes against his own guest even, no matter how uncomfortable they seem to get. Guess those are just good jokes written for his tone, huh?
And, outside of, his ideas about primarily, I think, wokeness, I don't know. It's just not for me. I know his joke he's got good joke writers who know how to write for his tone. And I've known a couple of those guys. They were comics and they're good guys, but I can't see past, the desperation and what he's willing to do.
Guess we have to wait a few more years until you switch to another platform about how dangerous and fascist the business model of HBO is. Or let's talk about the podcast, the one you did for 16 years. I'm not going to go that far back. January 2023, episode 1399. If anybody was going to get an earful about punching down on the gays, I thought it would be this guest. You said you heard all the specials. He made a comment about it on the podcast. Gamora burned down from all the nastiness. Too many guys. You just laugh, lick his boots, and promote his upcoming tour. Nothing to say. Or maybe you didn't say nothing because you had a That's So Raven vision to him on Club Shay Shay.
Joe don't want me on that.
But I guess that vision forgot to tell you about JRE when he went and made comments about gender identity and its ties to Satanism. It's not like this is some type of isolated incident. He does the same thing again, episode 1531. Jimmy Carr's on, anti-cancel culture type. He jokes about the same hackneyed topics that he's so sick of hearing. It's all just a bit odd to me that he even brings up Dave Chappelle. His last special was at the end of 2023. Have no other comedians really made jokes about the same topics in 2024 and 2025? Comics that actually feel the weight of what they joke about is true and it needs to be shared with the world, versus someone like Dave who jokes about the absurdity he finds surrounding day-to-day life, be it his own or those that share the planet with him. Are those Netflix specials, keep in mind, some of those are almost a decade old at this point, more dangerous than comics who not only go out to make jokes, but they speak at rallies, they go and they talk about some radical left, they dine with the president and claim, hey, he picked up the tab, he can't be that bad. Is it more harmful than comedians and public figures that are a part of that LGBT community and then they publicly bash their counterparts just to endorse the Republican figures Maron claims he's so against? And the same way that we have these MAGA grifters hanging out with their pseudo-hillbilly buddy Kid Rock, who was originally a rapper from Detroit, and he lied about that because he was raised 40 miles away. I digress. We also have liberal grifters like Maron defending the mega rich like Ariana Grande and billionaire Taylor Swift about performing.
I think a lot of people take for granted, the job we do in entertainment. Just sort of like, she's just a singer or whatever.
Right.
I spoke to Ariana Grande. I mean, and these, these are just people. Do you know what the weight of playing an arena is? Night after night, to put on that show, to deliver that for that type of fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an immense, almost inhuman job.
Yeah.
To hold that space. I don't know that you can explain the magic of how they do that,
right?
Other than they're hard workers. But if you explore their past, at least you can fill in, what's, at the root of that amazing use of talent and power.
Sorry, guess we were too busy working our regular human jobs to avoid eviction notices that we forgot to sit down and praise Taylor's magical contributions to the planet. We should all just go wash her private jet on the weekends to show our gratitude for our mistake. So what I'm getting at is all this performative activism we see usually when he's about to drop a special. I'm surprised nobody has caught on yet. It's kind of tiring. While others, they may be distracted by the smoke and mirrors, I'm just not impressed. He's calling out people he had beef with since the first time that person stepped on a stage. But I guess it's just nice to have politics to use as a point of contention now instead of his background in sports. And for Chappelle, I think I know what the real problem is. It all goes back to square one with Maron. It's jealousy. And it might be from his success. It might be from how big his name has gotten. Maybe it's because he took that decade-long hiatus and came back bigger than ever. And that just has to sting a little because he knows if he did the same thing, nobody would remember him. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Perhaps it has to do with Maron trying to get Chappelle on his podcast multiple times, but he never accepted.
Chappelle was around. It was nice to see him. Had some nice pictures with everybody. You know, with Chappelle on the podcast, I don't really ask him anymore. He knows.
And I'm sure once the general public catches on to what he's really been doing, we're going to get a 3-page apology on social media, a little podcast tour. But honestly, in my...
What's your name, boy?
Patton Oswalt.
Sounds like a snack cake.
Well, that's the end of my rant. Let me know what you guys think. Me, I think the worst part was the hypocrisy. Catch y'all next time.